What's up, motherfuckers? After a first day when Kasparov won 2.5 to 5, sorry, 2.5 to 1.5 against Anand, in the second day we start with a completely different start position, of course, like in freestyle says. So let's analyze how to start in the initial position. How are the best way to start? The same day I made the same. I analyzed the starting position and then the following games. So in this video, we're going to analyze the starting position. Okay, like we see we have a queen in the corner, the two knights close together, the king on c1, the rook closer, and the bishop more or less in the center. Say that the bishop only one. So let's understand the position. Okay, here the most logical moves was d4 and e4, in my opinion. Just control the center. I prefer d4 in the first move. This is the first move that I'm going to analyze because with d4 you are open the rook and you are open the bishop, and but with e4 you are not open anything. So and apart you are closing the diagonal of the queen and the diagonal of the b1 bishop. So you are closing these two diagonals. So for the reason, in my opinion, is a little bit more logical the move d4 to start. You are opening this bishop, sorry, this bishop, you are not closing this bishop diagonal, you are opening the rook. The problem, of course, is, like always, is not easy to respond against d5. But okay, now we are going to see that the whites have some ideas how to struggle with c4 and these type of things. Okay, let's start with d4, who was employed only in one game, with Anand with the white pieces. Here d5 was the chosen the logical response with the 12 chose. Okay, and here Anand goes with knight f3, but I analyzed a little bit g3. Was I prefer because you're opening your queen, and if black responds with the same, here white have two interesting breakthroughs. The third was c4, fighting for the center. Third takes bishop c3, facing the same diagonal than the queen. Bishop a4, attacking the rook. And here, okay, rook d2 was possible, and this is a good move. But knight e3 was so interesting because black cannot take on d1 because bishop e4 is coming, attacking on b7, and if c6, yeah, bishop takes c6, and white is simply winning. So this could be a so active way to play with white in the opening. And e4 was the other interesting breakthrough here. For example, if d takes e4, just queen takes, knight f6, and just retry to go back to f3. And white is slightly better because you have a strong d pawn in the center. Especially white control the center thanks to the d4 pawn. This is why I like d4 followed by g3 here. Of course, black is not obligated to play g6. For example, can play knight e6, which is a better move than g3. But I always try to analyze the symmetry in free says, who is the most typical response for black. Okay, but Anand playing the same knight f3, sorry, who was so interesting. Um, in one game, Kasparov responds with knight f6, and in the other game, Kasparov responds with c6. Knight f6 here, the best move was knight e3, followed by c4. The idea of knight e3, of course, was prepare the breakthrough with c4. Anand plays the move e3, but this pawn here has no so much sense. I prefer the knight here. Because if not, you are going to play this knight on g3 or it's not on b3, but I prefer the knight in the center to help the breakthrough with c4. And then the white plan was bishop c3 followed by queen 1. And this king is going to be short-casted first. In general, in this position, it depends, but the king short-castle looks to be so safe. But if the center be open, maybe you want to long castle to have the fast the rook on the d5. But in general, the king is going to be safer in the king. Okay, in the other game, Kasparov responded with c6. And here, for example, the c4 was interesting with the same breakthrough. But okay, here e3 have sense because now you can break through with c4 too, followed by knight 1 d2. The difference with knight on f6 is that this move was more active than c6. And now if you play e3, maybe your opponent can activate with bishop b5 and this type of moves. But after c6, who is so slow, with white you can play another slowly move like e3, and then you're going to have time to play c4. For example, if knight f6, knight 1 d2 to play c4, knight d7, and here with white you have two options. One was a4, like was playing the game, and here a5 was the best move always. After a4, yes, a5 was to be the best. But in this specifically position, I don't like so much c4 because your plan with white is going to be c4, and the the structure after a4 a5 was good for black, of course. This structure is also typical in normal chess too. Have the pawn on a5 and the other pawns on b7 c65. And if you're going to play c4, I don't think that it benefits white. So for that reason, I think that c4 really was the best. It takes knight 1 d2. For example, if b5, bad move defending the pawn, simply b3 or queen f1, and then white is going to break on b3, a4, and thanks to his development extra, white has the advantage here. g6 was better, but just stay here and queen f1 and white is fine. So that's more or less all the important with the 4, my favorite move. As part of plays in against e4, why I don't like because e5. Now black is control d4. Okay, knight f3 for me looks normal to attacking the pawn. e4 is not possible because there is a take. So knight f3 was logical. c6 defending, and here maybe the white idea should be d4, trying to fight for the center. Take, but after knight d6, c3, the position is so equal. So for that reason, the move c4 in the first move I don't like so much. But you're moving the pawn in front of your king. Of course, you're not going to receive checkmate, but it's strange this move in my opinion. I still preferring before. Okay, after c4, by lucky, Anand respond with c6, and here after d4, white is better. d5, she takes good moves, she takes, and here e4 was so strong with white advantage. Now the following move was 93, g3, a4, and white is better here. And e4 was the other normal move here. Okay, I don't like the move, but okay, it's taking the center, so should be analyzed. But I don't like this move. And Kasparov employed in one game. Okay, e4. Here, black have two logical response. e5, blockading the pawn and playing symmetrical, and e6 in a friend's fork. Okay, e6, d4, d5, that's what Anand responds. And here, of course, Anand Kasparov take here, which is completely equal. But here c3 was also interesting. Still trying to fight for the center. And for example, if black plays a move like a5, always a4. The rook pawn's move used to be responded with the same move. g6, again, the normal development here was 93, followed by g3, open the queen. Knight f6 was bad because e5 and f4. And if black takes, now with white you have more central advantage, central space, sorry, than black. Bishop takes, knight f6, bishop f3, c6, e3, e5, knight e2, and white is fine here. And the other good response against e4, my favorite was e5, of course, pretty symmetrical. But now we are going to see the idea of e4, which break on d4, but with the help of c3. As always in freestyle chess, when you open normally with a central pawn, you should watch what happen after your opponents play the same move, pretty symmetrical. And one of the typical ways to play after your opponent responds symmetrical was play with c3 d4 or f3 4, depends if the pawns are on d2. Uh, so here, okay, knight f3 was normal too, d6, a4, a5, Here again, we're going to see the best plan C3, followed by E4 and trying to fight for the space in the center. All the time was a fight between who player takes the control of the center. 96 and here D4. Okay, 93 was possible too. For example, 86, queen f1, including the queen. Now with the pawn on e5, the move g6 has no so much sense. Here was bishop e7 was more interesting because of course this bishop is not going to be developed in this diagonal for a pawn on c7, a pawn on d6, and a pawn on e5. Of course, that's the correct diagonal of the bishop. Queen f1, including the queen. 97, bishop c2, d6, and finally d4. Sacrificing this pawn, but here after bishop c3, we might have some counterplay for the pawn, thanks to the bishop pair. c5, and here on f4 was possible, knight c4 another option. You can just stay here on 95. I have many ways to play here. And of course, a part of knight f3 here, c3 directly was fine too. Knight d6, before going forward. Takes. Okay, black should react with d5 because it's not white is taking so much space with d5. d5, knight d3, d3 is possible too. Of course, knight d3, d6, and here d3, bishop knight d7, bishop c3. And just place the knight on f3 or first the pawn on f4 and then the knight on f3, and like this is slightly better because have more central points. So okay, that's the analysis of my analysis of the initial position. And I'm going to analyze the games of this day too. So let's see the following videos. Bye bye.